Chains of Asmodeus is a new adventure book for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It's a high-rank campaign taking characters from level 11 to 20, and it takes place almost entirely in the Nine Hells. It was written by two celebrated industry professionals, James Olin and Adrian Tchaikovsky. And best of all proceeds from the sale of the book go to the Extra Life charity helping children with medical care. We'll talk about what's in the adventure while trying to avoid player spoilers in this video. I'm Dave, and this is the one and only RPG Rundown. First, a quick note about spoilers. I'm going to talk about the basic premise and features of this adventure while not giving away any twists, surprises, or possible endings. Even so, if you're a player who likes to come totally fresh to an adventure, you may want to avoid watching this video. Likewise, if you're a DM who would prefer your players to know absolutely nothing about what they're in for, advise them not to watch this video. I remember when I first read through the Blood War chapter of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, being captivated by what it described and thinking I'd really love to run an adventure that wound up in the Nine Hells and dealt with these cosmic and fantastical spiritual themes. I felt full of these interesting little ideas, but uncertain how to approach so vast and wild a concept. I also wondered how to run an adventure very much past level 10. High-powered adventures are hard to come by in WotC publications, with very few exceptions, like the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Now, Chains of Asmodeus provides an entire campaign set in the Nine Hells, taking characters all the way from level 11 to level 20. Because of all this, I was very excited to take a look at it. It's available now at the DM's Guild website at the link in the description for this video. It's a $29.99 PDF, and all proceeds do go to the Extra Life charity. While it's not published by Wizards of the Coast, Chains of Asmodeus was written by two industry heavy hitters. One is James Olin, designer of several successful computer RPGs, such as Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Knights of the Old Republic, and Dragon Age Origins. The other is award-winning writer Adrian Tchaikovsky, the author of the novels Children of Time, The Tiger and the Wolf, and The Doors of Eden. If you're a GM planning to run this adventure, you'll need not only the core books, meaning the Player's Guide, DM Guide, and the Monster Manual, but also Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. Chains of Asmodeus is an informal sequel to Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, which is a Wizards publication. And although you might find that book to be a useful resource for this, you don't need to run that adventure first if you don't want to. Of course, you could create level 11 characters and get right to playing, but also, because most of the campaign takes place in the Plains of Hell, you could run any adventures beforehand to get characters to level 11 in any setting, including your own if you wanted to. As you may know, in D&D, while both devils and demons are evil, devils are lawful, while demons are chaotic. The Abyss is the domain of demons, while the Hells are the domain of devils, the chief of whom is Asmodeus. In this adventure, players are drawn to the Nine Hells to rescue souls trapped there due to infernal bargains and sins. And bargains and sins are a big theme in the book, so much so that there's a corruption system outlined to track how often the player characters are tempted and any corruption they accrue. These temptations really have teeth, too, offering magic items, life-altering narrative changes, and so forth. And perhaps most importantly, a character's level and types of temptations and corruption directly affect the infernal bargains that comprise the endgame. Plenty of sins and temptations are outlined in the book and ready for use, but there's also room to customize and create your own. Now, the souls the characters are searching for could be family members or close associates, or could even be the characters themselves. If players don't have ideas for the souls in need of rescue, there are several well-thought-out suggestions provided. In addition to the main quest to literally save souls from hell, the party will also be recruited by one of 3 patron groups, and the patron group will have an additional mission for the players to accomplish. The patrons vary by alignment, good, neutral, or evil, so it's possible to run an evil campaign in hell with this book. Due to the 3 different patron groups, as well as the nature of the souls to save and the types of temptations and sins accrued by the party, the campaign actually has a decent amount of replayability. So, will this adventure satisfy my desire to run a high-level campaign in the Nine Hells? I think the answer is mostly yes, and I'll tell you why. One thing I loved about this book is how rich and interesting the NPCs are, including even the suggested souls that need saving. There are levels to the motivations of these differing characters, some of whom are part of the same group or team, and these are interesting and they're full of dramatic possibility. I also love the many random encounter tables. There's one for the campaign itself, one for each level of hell, and several locations within those levels have their own random encounter sets too, with varied and interesting events and challenges in them. The encounters really reinforce the concepts of the Blood War, the bargains and sins, and the general feel of just being in the Nine Hells. I can't truly call this campaign a sandbox-style adventure since it mostly revolves around descending through the layers of hell in order and winding up at the bottom to confront the master of all of them, Asmodeus. Yet there's enough described about the levels and regions within them that characters do have plenty to explore, even while being in a more linear story arc at a high level. There's a lot left unexplored or undetailed in the book. For example, the Iron Tower of Dispater, a major location in the second hell, Dis, is just a dot on a map. There are no maps of the inside of the tower or even information about what's there. This kind of omission is almost certainly meant to leave room for a DM to map it out themselves and make it their own, and since locations like the tower aren't central to the quest, this isn't a terrible thing. But you do need to know going in that if the story in your game does take the players to a location like the Tower of Dispater, it's something the DM will have to create on their own or provide through some other supplement they adapt. While major main quest areas are better defined, there's still very few maps detailed down to grid scale level. You'll need to supply your own for a lot of these too, or else plan on running in a total theater of mind style. For my DM style, I'd prefer to cut down on my prep time and just have these maps and further details supplied in case I want to default to just jump in and use. But I have to say, I was impressed with the rich characters and story possibilities in Chains of Asmodeus, and I do plan to run it for the players in my house game when they reach level 11. If you're interested in buying a copy of the book, the link is in the description below. And remember again, proceeds from the sale go to Extra Life, so you can check out the adventure as well as contributing to a great and worthwhile charity. As always, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment below with your thoughts about high-level games, running adventures in hell, or anything else that came to your mind while you were watching this video. I'm Dave, and until next time, may all your 20s be natural. Book's open. Birds. We should have birds come out of the book pages flying up to heaven. And then like a guy kills a skeleton.